Someone commented that it's unfair to tour General Motors car lots and expect to prove anything. That, obviously General Motors does sell some cars. California is not necessarily the most typical market for General Motors cars. General Motors seems to have abandoned California. But it does show these videos of the various car dealerships that there is less than enthusiastic interest in General Motors cars. Now, there was at one time a car, the EV1, that General Motors destroyed, but people were willing to wait in the rain for 28 days through Los Angeles' worst rainstorm in history, 24/7, in a vigil at the bare chance of being able to pay $25,000 each in cash for this car. Instead, General Motors arrested some of those who tried to block the sidewalk to get the car. They trucked the rest of them to Mesa, Arizona, took the tires and batteries out, shredded them, crushed them, sent them back to California where they were shredded and melted for metal value. Now, at that time, General Motors could have expanded on its holdings of electric cars and could have had things like the Prius and plug-in Priuses, plug-in Volts, plug-in serial hybrids, but they gave that up and they sort of abandoned the market for fuel-efficient cars and excellent cars. And sort of that's what these things show, that there aren't any exciting cars in the General Motors arena at this time. Ford dealer. Now, it isn't the workers' fault that none of these Fords are selling, or there's no customers in here. It's the fault of the designers. Let's see what Toyota looks like. Well, there's some. You see some customers at random. And you see a lot of people around here. Some people over there looking around. There's more customers next door here. Somebody coming out. And now, there's some activity here. And I see some customers over there too. It's Tuesday night about 6 o'clock, so you don't expect to see a lot of people around. It's definitely not deserted. Let's see what the Chevrolet dealer looks like. Yeah, they're over there. Well, let's see. I don't see anybody here except there's a couple salespeople there. They're sitting around shooting the bull. And you see there's parts and service over here. Pretty much not very much happening here. Now here we see a whole bunch of Nissans. I mean, there are just a whole bunch of them. They're all over the place. Compared to the Chevrolet dealer, there's a lot of empty spaces over there. The Nissan dealer has got a lot of cars here, and that's probably because they sell a lot of cars. And here's a couple of wandering salespeople. Let's see what, they have a big old tent sale in here. And there's one customer. There's a couple of people lounging around. And we see, there's a couple customers in there. It's not a big deal today, but there are some customers. Whereas with the Chevrolet dealer, we're still seeing it's empty. And that is the result of, not having the cars that people want. Now, there's a long line of Canyons and Silverados, etc. And I do see some people down at the other end. Maybe those are customers, but they look like salespeople. It's not the fact that they have tents over there. It's the fact that they have cars that people want. Saturn was the company that destroyed the EV1, or he actually destroyed my EV1, and they were very nasty about it here. I don't see anybody in there either. Saturn is the bright spot for General Motors. Now over there is the Hummer dealer, and they've not had a lot of business either. I don't see anybody in there, and I don't think I ever have seen anybody in there. Maybe they sell them some other place. But what's surprising is that there's nobody in the Saturn lot. It just looks deserted. And as I say, Saturn was the bright spot for General Motors. So this is generally what we've got in terms of General Motors is these big cars, big trucks. They weigh a lot, and they generally don't seem to move. I guess you don't have to sell too many of them to make enough money. Now here's a whole row of Hummers that
once again, this area seems completely deserted, and you know, there just doesn't anybody ever in here, it seems. Let's go down this row of Hummers here and just see what all these things are. They sure have a lot of them, you know, and they're all tricked out, and they've got, you know, they got like a big old sales office in there, and just, you know, nothing happening. Which I guess, you know, I've never seen anybody in there. This, I guess, is the Volvo dealer, and this is Ford. I don't see much in there either. There doesn't seem to be there's a salesperson sitting down. I guess he never has to worry about standing up very much. Okay, it's about 6:40, and this is just too awful to ignore. Here we see, you know, the bustling Nissan dealership across the street with lots of people in it, comparatively, and cars still running at 6:40 at night. And then we see, in contrast, you know, the Chevrolet dealer, GMC, there's very little in the way of activity here. A lot of empty spaces. Can we just do a panoply? You know, there are people in the Nissan dealer, and you know, sort of activity in there. And they got this big old tent. They got all these cars out here. And then we see in the Toyota dealer, you know, there's always activity over there, one sort or another. And again, it isn't because they have the tent going. And then you go to the GM dealer, you know, and they got these two salespeople that are still there, and no cars, you know, no customers, no tents, and these beautiful trucks, which, you know, really are the heart and soul of our American workforce, you know. And it's a deadly shame that General Motors is making the kinds of cars that people don't want right now. And it's again, it's not the workers' fault. Just see that there's so much activity in the Nissan lot, and people going in there. Well, everybody just ignores the GM lot. People going by, and you know, here we have just the salespeople. No real customers here. Just a lot of empty space, and a lot of America's blood and sweat that just went to waste because our designers didn't design the right cars. They didn't make the cars that America wanted. Whereas, you know, Toyota did, and so did Honda and Nissan and all the others. This is why General Motors has a market value of only $18 billion, while even Fiat dwarfs that. And Toyota, of course, much larger. But we see, you know, we see again that there's just so much activity in the Toyota dealer, and there's more customers, you know, and they have this nice tent going up, and people going in and out, while, you know, the Nissan dealer has activity, but not the Chevrolet, and of course not the Hummer.